With this note, let me introduce our chairperson for the day, Mr. Nikhil Chadha, advisor at Force. Mr. Nikhil Chadha is a passionate coach and leader. He is dedicated to people, transformation, and learning. With a career spanning Flipkart, GE, Wipro, and more. He has held pivotal roles in technology, supply chain, and learning and development. With over 2 decades of industry experience, he has led award-winning global and learning development programs, engaging CXOs in sectors like e-commerce, healthcare, BFSI, and IT and telecom. He has received numerous accolades, including HR 40, Under 40, and the iconic IDC Insights Award, introduced to learning and development in the new era of hybrid work. Give it up for Mr. Nikhil Chadha, advisor at EdForce.
Thank you. So it was supposed to be good morning, supposed to be welcome, and it was supposed to be a thank you. But you know, a lot can change in a matter of 12 hours. And the 12 hours I'm going to talk about are between 6 p.m. last evening to 6 a.m. this morning. But before I do that, the welcome part for each and every one of you is still valid. Thank you for taking out your time to be with all of us here today. Now I'm going to tell you 3 stories of what happened between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. But before I do that, a little bit about me. So I'm a parent to 2 living entities. The first happens to be my pet dog, Murphy. And he is the head of whatever he chooses. But the interesting part is, he has a purpose. And his purpose is just being. And as I observe him day in, day out, just by being in the essence of who he is, a sense of joy, happiness, connection is something he is able to create. And the amount of work we do in mindfulness, it's always a moment of reflection, of seeing how well he moves on from one to the other. And it really feeds into a lot of my learnings as to how we can really start moving from doing to a being space. The second, oh by the way, the most indisciplined is going to be Murphy. So the second living entity that I'm a parent of is Mindwise. It's an organization which we built to simplify transformation mindfully. And that's where we weave in a lot of element of being along with how do we do what we do. And this also is the opportunity that led me into the 3 conversations I was going to talk about. So coming into this conference last evening, because of the work we do, it turned out that a lot of our clients within Bombay started reaching out that we know it is last minute, but can we have someone from an organization be a part of this conference tomorrow? And if it was one-off, I would say, okay, someone just got the information now. But I noticed a lot of them suddenly reaching out. And that got me to start asking them a question as to, you were not aware of this, yet I'm finding a lot of eagerness. What's driving you to this? And one answer that came all across was, we're noticing that the agenda is very interesting. And some of these leaders, by the way, said, I will unfortunately not be able to make it, but I want to nominate at least someone from my team to go and attend and not miss out. And to that end, I think we owe gratitude to the thoughtfulness brought in by the Gain Skills team for setting up and creating this space for all of us with a very thoughtfully put out and relevant agenda that people who were not fortunate enough to be here today are feeling that they're missing out on. So if we can just acknowledge what they've done for us. Thank you, Gain Skills team. Now, the second conversation also built up upon this. So, we based primarily in Bangalore, and by virtue of our work, we again get to be part of a lot of the WhatsApp communities in HR and L&D, even some startup communities, so on and so forth. So, around 10 p.m., the conversations that were reaching out were, is there a L&D conference that is worth going to, happening in Bangalore sometime soon? And it was uncanny. You know, we're going for this in Bombay, and out of nowhere, suddenly WhatsApp groups are talking about this. What's going on? So again, I had to ask a question. I'm a coach. So then I said, what's going on? And they said, there is a flyer. We got to know there's a conference happening in Bombay, and looks like that this kind of a setup is not happening in Bangalore. And I said, wait, but Bangalore has a lot of these conferences. And what I heard was, they said the mix of the speakers and the topics is a very different take than what we tend to experience in the conferences curated in Bangalore. They have a lot more of a tech-first focus rather than a bigger balance between the two. And that got me to realize that there is a sense of gratitude that we all have for all the speakers and the participants. By sheer virtue of who you are, there are people who are wishing that they were here to interact and learn from all of you. And this second conversation brought the gratitude to another level. That I'm getting a chance to be part of this. And I think that's for all of you. So thank you for taking out time and being here. The third conversation, now that's a story that started in 2014, and it's a series of conversations. So in 2014, I was in a conference. Speaking was going on, and I happened to step out. And there were these service providers and young fellows sitting there. I just got to talking to them. And I asked them, so much of what's happening in the future of your clientele is being discussed inside. Why don't you sit inside and pick up? What I heard was, sir, we've been doing this for 10 years. What they seem to do is make a list of all the buzzwords, combine them in some random way, it should make some sense, and make them as topics. And that's what happens conversation after conversation, conference after conference. So nothing new really happens there. So 2014, I hear this. And over the years, I'm just noticing that there is a certain trend which seems to resonate of that. This morning, there's a conversation series that started on LinkedIn, which was about what are the 2 million ways in which L&D will make a difference in 2024. And I'm like, 2 million ways. Normally, every report talks of 5 or 10, and how many buzzwords can you combine in that? But these dots connected for me. And then I was looking at the agenda again. What I realized is that while it seems to be on the face that it's about technology and how is technology changing business, how is technology changing L&D, but the one thing that is true for people in this room, in this passion of learning and development, is that in our organizations, we're perhaps the only function that reaches out to employees with no agenda. All other functions are designed to be at loggerheads. But a L&D professional goes and talks to a person and says, can I help you in some way to be more equipped to do what you do for yourself and your family in a better way tomorrow? Or is there something I can do to help you do it better today? And I'm not taking anything, I'm just inviting you to a space where you can do this for yourself. And that hasn't changed. What else hasn't changed is that while we look at the lens of technology bringing in changing is L&D, or anything else which comes up as those lists of buzzwords, but at the heart of it is the learner. It's not as much about what technology is doing, but it's about what is this human being doing differently, how are they relating to this technology. And it is in that newly formed relationship that we have our lessons of how do we use this to make it easier for them. And quite often it's very easy in the day-to-day to get lost in the idea of technology, the idea of the buzzwords, and lose focus on who are we doing this for. So 2014 till date, that central element in essence never changed. But that also got me to my third role, which is godparent to the third living entity. And that's EdForce. Now this again started as a relationship back in one of the conferences where I discovered that the people behind this had a singular passion. It was about how do we make services and products which will make, not just for the participant, but for the people enabling these participants, make their life easier. How do we solve it for them? And all the years that I've known them, in every conversation we've had of how do we serve more, it is the core team which keeps going back and saying, forget marketing, forget service, forget sales. Tell me how can we design first to solve and make it easier for the L&D professionals. And between the two entities that I'm a parent to and the one that I'm a godparent to, I can safely say the most disciplined, the most simple approach, most grounded has been EdForce and the team. And that's the third conversation that brought a different sense of gratitude for creating this space. Thank you and have a fantastic learning day today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nikhil Chadha. I would also